Welcome everyone. Today we dive into the world of autistic meltdowns and shutdowns in a clear and friendly way. Autism is a lifelong condition that affects both children and adults, and understanding its various expressions helps foster empathy and awareness. In this video, we explore what meltdowns and shutdowns really mean, how they feel, and what triggers them. Our goal is to explain that these responses are not simply temper tantrums or misbehavior, but rather natural reactions to overwhelming sensory input or emotional stress. Many people have misconceptions about autism, often misinterpreting meltdowns as intentional acts of defiance. However, these moments are usually the result of sensory overload or an accumulation of stress that the individual finds difficult to manage. Today, we discuss the process leading up to a meltdown or shutdown, what is experienced during these episodes, and how recovery afterwards might look like. No technical jargon here, just relatable language that helps everyone understand the challenges and the resilience of autistic individuals. We'll also consider the impact on families and close relationships. Observing a loved one go through a meltdown can be confusing and even distressing. By understanding that these reactions are deeply rooted in the sensory experiences and neurological differences inherent in autism, families can respond with more care, patience, and practical strategies to create supportive environments. This discussion is important because it recognizes that the experience of sensory overload is both unique and common among autistic people. From school environments to workplace settings, these moments of overwhelm require empathy and understanding not just from professionals but from the wider community. Join us as we break down these experiences and explore ways to support those who navigate this challenging aspect of their lives every day. Together, we will learn to support and embrace all experiences with kindness. Absolutely. Autistic meltdowns and shutdowns are not a choice but a response to overwhelming stimuli, and understanding these events is key to supporting autistic individuals. A meltdown is an intense, immediate reaction where emotions and sensory inputs combine, often resulting in a loss of control. Shutdowns, on the other hand, involve withdrawal and a temporary inability to respond or interact with the world around them. Both responses are ways in which the brain struggles to cope when it is flooded with too much information, and they serve as a natural protective mechanism. For many autistic individuals, everyday sounds, lights, or crowded spaces can accumulate to create a sensory storm that is impossible to process. In these moments, the body reacts instinctively. It may shake, become agitated, or even lose the ability to speak. During a meltdown, expressions such as yelling or crying may occur, but it is important to note these expressions are not meant to hurt others or seek attention. They are a direct result of overload. Shutdowns are somewhat different. Instead of overt external activities, shutdowns involve internal retreat. The individual might become very quiet, physically still, and disengaged as a way to protect themselves from further sensory input. This response is akin to a system overload that forces a cooling down period. In both cases, the brain is signaling that it has reached its limits and support is necessary. Understanding these reactions as the mind's signal to take a break, rather than a disciplinary issue, is crucial. Instead of interrupting or scolding an autistic person during a meltdown or shutdown, providing a safe, calming space is ideal. In knowing that these responses stem from an inability to process overwhelming stimuli, we learn to see them as cries for help, rather than challenges to control. Deepening our knowledge of these responses helps everyone involved recognize that these are involuntary reactions, and compassionate support goes a long way. When we calmly step back and create an environment free from excessive noise or pressure, the individual can begin to recover and feel understood. It is important to respect their need for space and time during these episodes. By acknowledging that meltdowns and shutdowns are signs of sensory and emotional overload, we contribute to a kinder, more inclusive society. Listening to the experiences of autistic individuals provides valuable insights and encourages more effective support strategies. We always learn and grow together daily. Sensory overload plays a central role as a trigger for meltdowns and shutdowns. Autistic individuals experience the world in a rich tapestry of sensory details. What might be a simple background noise or a softly lit room for one person can be overwhelming for someone on the autism spectrum. It is as if every sound, light, or touch is amplified, adding layers of pressure that slowly build until it becomes too much to bear. Everyday experiences such as the hum of a crowded restaurant or even the texture of clothing can accumulate and create a stressful environment. The human brain, regardless of neurodiversity, can be prone to overload, but in autistic individuals, sensory input is processed more intensely. This heightened perception means that the world often presents itself in bold, vivid details that demand constant attention. In many cases, these details are not filtered out as they are for neurotypical individuals, leading to constant sensory bombardment. As the buildup continues, the accumulated sensory signals start to conflict, overwhelming the natural ability to process them neatly. The result is a tipping point where the individual can no longer handle the barrage of sensations. This overload may happen gradually as multiple minor triggers converge or suddenly when a critical intensity of a sensory input is reached. In such moments, the brain sends out a distress signal in the form of a meltdown or shutdown, acting as a safeguard when the processing systems are overloaded. It is important to note that sensory overload is not merely about loud sounds or bright lights. It can include any form of sensory input that is processed atypically. Even subtle changes in the environment, like temperature fluctuations or unexpected smells, can add to the cumulative effect. Recognizing and mitigating these factors in everyday settings can be crucial. The journey to understanding sensory overload involves appreciating how deeply intertwined our senses are with our emotional well-being. Clear adjustments in the environment can significantly reduce the chances of triggering these overwhelming responses while offering comfort and support. Small changes can make a big, positive difference. Every little bit helps. While autistic meltdowns and temper tantrums might appear similar at first glance, they are fundamentally different in both cause and presentation. Temper tantrums, often seen in young children, are typically linked to frustration and can sometimes be a means of seeking attention or testing boundaries. These episodes usually occur when a child cannot have what they want and may involve yelling, crying, or throwing objects. In contrast, autistic meltdowns are not a deliberate act designed to influence others. They are instead an involuntary response to overwhelming sensory or emotional input. Autistic meltdowns arise from an internal overload, where the individual has reached a breaking point due to the accumulation of sensory stimuli. The response is not a behavior meant to manipulate a situation or draw attention. It is a moment when the brain signals that its capacity to cope has been exceeded. During these episodes, the individual may not control their reactions in any traditional sense, making the behavior appear unpredictable. The intensity and duration of a meltdown can vary significantly and may leave the person feeling drained or distressed afterwards. Another key difference is the emotional aftermath. After a temper tantrum, a child might be offered comfort and guidance, with the understanding that their behavior was partly driven by unmet desires. With autistic meltdowns, the focus is on recognition of the sensory overwhelm and the need to allow time for recovery. The individual does not have the luxury of simply calming down on command. Instead, they need a quiet, supportive environment where they can gradually regain control. It is essential to appreciate that autistic meltdowns are not a moral failing or a result of poor behavior. They are a sign that the person's sensory processing system is overloaded. Recognizing this difference promotes understanding and better support, ensuring that responses from caregivers and educators are compassionate rather than punitive. This clarity can lead to more effective strategies, both in schools and at home, to help avoid future meltdowns while respecting the individual's unique needs. Understanding these differences is key to a respectful, effective, and compassionate support system. Everyone benefits greatly. Before a meltdown or shutdown, many autistic individuals often experience a series of subtle changes. Sensations or emotions begin to intensify gradually, signaling that stress and sensory input are accumulating. There might be a feeling of increased anxiety, restlessness, or even physical discomfort. Sounds may become harsher, lights seem too bright, and textures can feel more abrasive. These early warning signs are important. They offer a chance to recognize that the brain is nearing its capacity. Noticing them early can sometimes allow the person to retreat to a quieter space, though that is not always possible. During a meltdown, the experience is overwhelming and all-consuming. The individual may lose the ability to articulate thoughts clearly as sensory and emotional signals flood the brain. At this point, language loses its meaning, and actions take precedence over words. Physical responses can include crying, shouting, or rapid movements, all instinctive reactions to an overload of sensations. There is little conscious control during this period, and the person might not even be aware of their actions until the episode has passed. It is a time when the brain is essentially compelled to release built-up tension in any way it can. After the meltdown or shutdown, there is often a profound sense of exhaustion and disorientation. The individual may feel emotionally drained and physically spent, as if all energy has been sapped away. Recovery can take time, and the aftereffects might include feelings of regret or confusion about what just happened. In this recovery phase, patience and support become crucial. A safe environment where the person can rest and slowly regain a sense of normalcy is essential. Reflection may follow as well, where individuals try to understand their triggers and consider strategies for managing future episodes. This cycle, from anticipation to release to recovery, is a challenging journey, yet it is one that offers lessons about self-care and the importance of a supportive network. During recovery, each person's path is unique. Sometimes, the aftermath includes not only exhaustion but also a reflective moment where emotions are processed and understanding deepens. It can be a time for personal growth, where challenges serve as reminders of one's resilience. Friends, family, and support networks play a vital role in helping someone navigate this difficult time. By offering understanding, gentle encouragement, and practical strategies, loved ones help rebuild confidence and foster calm. This supportive moment are essential. This recovery truly matters, always. Families and close relationships often feel the ripple effects of autistic meltdowns and shutdowns. When a loved one experiences one of these episodes, it can evoke a mix of frustration, concern, and helplessness among family members. Watching someone you care about lose control due to sensory overload can be heart-wrenching, as the behavior is not directed at anyone intentionally but is rather a cry for help. This emotional toll extends beyond the individual and touches everyone in the support network, creating an environment filled with uncertainty and constant vigilance. Caregivers, in particular, face unique challenges. They may feel overwhelmed by the responsibility of providing the right balance of space and support during an episode. The unpredictability of meltdowns makes it hard to plan daily activities or social events, as families must be prepared to adapt at any moment. Understanding these events as a natural response rather than a disciplinary issue can help families develop healthier coping strategies. Even though it can be stressful, it allows family members to find creative ways to manage the situation, fostering deeper bonds based on empathy. Relationships outside the family are also affected. Friends, colleagues, and community members sometimes misunderstand these episodes, mistakenly labeling them as tantrums or misbehavior. This misunderstanding can lead to social isolation for both the autistic individual and their family. However, when proper education and awareness are shared, these challenges become opportunities to build stronger, more supportive relationships. Open communication about the real causes of meltdowns and shutdowns can dispel myths and build a community rooted in acceptance and understanding. Ultimately, the impact on families underscores the importance of compassion and patience. Every member of the support network plays a crucial role in creating a stable environment that minimizes sensory triggers and fosters resilience for everyone involved. Support groups, counseling, and open dialogue help families learn new strategies and build stronger connections. Over time, empathy grows as everyone becomes better equipped to handle unexpected episodes. A collaborative approach can ease tension and create a nurturing atmosphere for both the autistic individual and their loved ones. Absolutely supportive. Autism is a lifelong journey, and the experiences of meltdowns and shutdowns are not confined to childhood. Adults on the autism spectrum still face sensory challenges and the pressures of a world that often demands conformity. Many autistic adults have learned to mask their natural responses, imitating peers and using social skills that do not come naturally. This masking, while sometimes helpful in public settings, comes at a significant cost. It consumes energy and often leads to more frequent and severe meltdowns once they return to a safe space, such as their home. For autistic adults, the need to fit in can mean suppressing genuine feelings and experiences. In public, they might smile, nod, or engage in expected small talk, all while their internal world feels chaotic and overloaded. The effort to hide sensory discomfort or emotional stress over time builds up pressure that eventually finds an outlet in a meltdown or shutdown when they are alone. This behavior is not a sign of weakness but a clear indicator of the toll that constant masking can take. Understanding this phenomenon helps explain why autistic adults may seem reserved or intense. It also opens up conversations about the importance of safe environments and compassionate interactions. Recognizing the need to decompress and being allowed moments of vulnerability is crucial. Support in personal and professional lives can make a big difference in managing these lifelong challenges. Accepting that meltdowns occur even in adulthood is a step towards building a more empathetic and understanding society. Every individual's journey is filled with ups and downs. Recognizing the ongoing struggle of masking and the eventual eruption of sensory overload allows society to become more supportive. Encouraging open discussion and providing safe, accepting spaces are essential steps toward healthy coexistence and personal growth. We stand together always. In summary, understanding autistic meltdowns and shutdowns reveals that these responses are not temper tantrums but natural reactions to overwhelming sensory input. Both children and adults experience these moments, even though autistic adults often mask their symptoms until they reach a safe space. Recognizing this lifelong condition leads to better support for families, educators, and the community. By learning to create environments that reduce sensory overload and encourage open communication, we can build a more compassionate society. Empathy and understanding go a long way toward ensuring everyone feels accepted and valued. Thank you for watching and caring. Stay kind.